everyone, welcome back to another episode of the CoachCon podcast. We're up to episode 33. So, back on the podcast, Adam Peacock, who joined me, I believe it was on episode 2. So, Adam, thank you very much for coming back on. How are things? How's life?
Thank you for having me on, mate. First of all, thank you very much. Things are
All
good,
right.
mate. Very good. Life's good. Busy as always, ticking over. But yeah, things are good, man.
Cool. Excellent. So, we do have a little bit of an announcement, I believe, for us, which has came out on Instagram through various channels. But do you want to share that with us? What's going on?
Yes, we do. Yeah, I tried my best to keep it under wraps for tonight, but a certain individual let me down. Joe Welshie. But otherwise,
Right.
we'll be all right. So yes, it'll be 17 weeks out on Saturday from my first show, PCA First Timers Men's Physique. So yeah, exciting. Always something I've been excited by the idea of, but never thought I would ever have the bottle to do it, to be honest. So I think it's step into the unknown, but it's certainly kind of flicked that switch for me mentally to take things to the next level a little bit, yeah.
Class, man. No, I'm pleased. As I say, I think potentially you've got to do it's fantastic, especially for men's physique. You've always had the wide shoulders and the small waist, the big arms. So I think it's going to work for you. So when did you start prep then? When was that a thing?
Yeah, so we started prep a little bit earlier, really. So we started from the first weekend of January, just tidying things up a little bit, and really used that sort of first 4 weeks. So I would say officially, we could say prep started then. But for me, I would say that officially prep probably started a month ago. At first, it was just sort of tidying diet up a little bit and ironing out a few little bits and pieces. But over the last 4 weeks, I could say it's been a bit more difficult, bit more structure, routine, real cardio, rather than just a bit on a rest day and stuff. So yeah, I'd say over the last sort of 4 weeks, things have certainly been ramped up a bit, and it's starting to tick. Yeah, starting to tick into full effect.
Marvellous. No, I know the feeling. For me, it's just over 11 weeks now. So it's that serious time, isn't it? So just something that obviously we can kind of go back and forth on the prep front, but I think the main thing is that certainly I'm glad of is we've given ourselves plenty of time. You know, I think it's probably like 23 weeks-ish for you, based off what you were saying. So it means are you kind of thinking get ready early, if you like, and then kind of not chill, but be able to relax a little bit in the run-up? Is that kind of the timeline?
Yeah, 100%. So I've more or less mapped it over kind of 25 weeks in total from when it set up, and I'm going away for a week in sort of 4 weeks time. So that kind of breaks prep up slap bang in the middle. So go and have a training week away in the sun, get away from the norm. So I've kind of split mine in two. And I just thought if I can use the first 12 weeks to do a bulk of the work, the final 12 weeks when I come back, mentally reset, is just going to be ticking over, fine tuning, and just making sure everything's kind of set up. I think the last thing that I really want is to be rushing in. I started my posing from week one
Yeah.
of even tidying up so that I've got a good 6 months of this, because I look at the first session and, I was glad that I could look at Welshie and go, look, I've got 6 months. So even though today's not great, I've got 6 months to be able to nail a couple of minutes up on a stage in a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
So it's that time. I think it's huge, isn't it? I think it gives you that bit of a mental, bit of trust in yourself.
Massively. I think that was the thing. So one of my pals, Kean in Ireland, he worked with a lady, Emma Quinn, and he won. He did the same. Well, it was in the Irish show, but it was the same class, same federation as me, with the PCA First Timers, of course, yourself and Classic Physique. And I thought it was nice to just as well have like a neutral as well, someone I didn't know, someone that'll just kind of be brand new to everything in terms of like my world, my journey, if you like. And I started kind of following, I think it was about December, and I seen a post and saying, if you've got shows this year, start early, start posing. And I didn't think it was like a sales tactic or anything, but it just made me think, maybe she's got a point, because I thought you don't want to be on your arse with a diet 6 weeks out and then flapping over a routine or anything like that. So I think that's the main thing, start early. And based on conversations I've had with other people as well, it's that thing of not everyone in the first time shows even learned to kind of pause as well. It's they overlook it, and that can, in theory, move you up a couple of places just by knowing how to hit shots as well, isn't it?
100%. And I just think when you've got plenty of food and you are still a bit fat, you've got a bit more brain power, you can go and learn a new skill.
Yeah.
When you get into the depths of dieting, and like I say, I've not done it to this sort of extreme before, but even
Hmm.
you know yourself, you're getting ready before you go on holiday and you're pretty lean, and the last thing you kind of want to be doing is learning anything new. You just want to, yeah, the discipline gets you there, but it's that bit of like when you've got more brain power and there's less to focus on, you don't have as much cardio, you, or things like that to do. You just eat your food, go to the gym. You've got a bit more time on your hands.
Yeah.
Learn that skill then, because
Yeah.
early doors, these first couple of months, I've had loads of additional time and energy to try and nail the posing.
Yeah.
That when it comes to getting further through, I'm not going to need that. I'm not going to if I am really really struggling, and my head's not in the game, the posing should be something that when I'm practicing, it should just be flowing and it's just
Yes.
fine tuning bits and pieces rather than being like, oh, right. Yeah, I just couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest. I think
Yeah.
you're right. I've heard a few people say that as well about kind of learning posing 6, 8, 10 weeks before the show
Mm.
and not having a single clue of what even the
Yeah.
mandatories are, what they're going to look like, foot position. And I just think it's a big risk to take when you're going to put all this time and effort into something. And it's a huge thing to overlook.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a lot of it as well as the tiny little tweaks. I know when me and Emma's been on, and even Kyle Bacon, who's helped me massively through this as well, who we both know, even little tweaks he's made in person, just with like moving us and slight adjustments, it looks like you've put an extra couple of pound of muscle on just by maybe standing up a bit taller or tucking your waist in, or so. It's all an illusion, which is, I think, something that I know I certainly overlooked when I first started this. It's very much an art form. It's a skill, isn't it?
100%. And I just think, why are you going to spend years and years and years perfecting your craft in the gym, making sure that you're weighing your salt, things like
Mm.
that, to then go on stage and make a bit of an idiot of yourself, really. I just
Yeah,
think you do see some of the videos that might come out from set federations of
yeah,
somebody maybe come fifth if there is five competitors, say, in a class, and you think, oh, the four who were all stood on stage with you look brilliant, and I'll write you fifth because there's five. And you
mm.
might not have the physique of those, but you actually look. People will be looking, going, "Oh, look at him compared to that." It's the last place that you want to be. If you get
Yeah,
beat by better lads, you get beat by better lads. Is what it is. Lads
yeah,
will always have more muscle than you. Will always be more conditioned than you. But if the bits that you can control, which is the time and effort taken into your posing, you've got to make sure you can at least do the basics. Particularly as a first time, if you can hit your mandatories and do them with confidence and showcase that off. If your feedback is something to take away to improve on your physique, but your pose in there say as a strength, I think that's a brilliant bit of feedback to take away because you know you've done what you can control then.
100%. Yeah, I've thought that. I thought as long as the routine's right and the feedback is like bring up glutes or hamstrings or something like that, whatever it might be, at least then I can go, all right, well, I'll go away and work on that. And something I'm curious to know, I mean, have you kind of laid out a bit of a roadmap yourself of thinking, I mean, I think you'll do absolutely marvellous, but say, when you go and win this show, have you kind of then thought, oh, I'll try this or I'll do that or have an off season? Or have you got anything, are you thinking much like that or are you more of a do it time
Excuse
kind of
me.
man?
Um, yes and no. I think it depends on how it goes. Really, I think for me, I think I'm certainly in the headspace where I want to give this a good go and
Yeah.
have a bit of a first season at it. And yes, we've got sort of two back-to-back shows over the weekend that we're going to do initially, and I've kind of looked around at some of the things. But I think my primary sort of goal initially is to get some stage experience
Yeah.
and just to throw myself in the deep end with whatever's there and then see where we're at. Um, Plan likelihood is will be that I want a good period of time in an off season. But in terms of what I did from last year, so I started reversing from a holiday diet in sort of back end of July and ran that up to January, and the look this year is drastically bigger than what I
Mm.
was last year. It'd be interesting to see where I'm at scale weights, but I'm sitting about 80, 82, low 82s at the minute, and I've got a similar body composition. I was having a look through to what I was at sort of 77, 78 last year.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, not to say that I've necessarily gone ahead as a natty and put 4 kilos muscle on, like, but at least the composition shows that we moved in the right direction. So if I did that again,
Yeah.
it could be quite a nice look. I think that the difficulty with the natural stuff is the gaps between your first timers, your pretty decent naturals, and your elite level natural is huge. And to go into a first timers against assisted guys as a natty, I'm not too worried about, because if you get beat on a bit of size, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But then I look at the natural shows and I think, well, some of these lads on here, I follow a lot of the stuff from Josh Crogg, and he's got an immense physique, and the guy's done like 30 shows and is a pro in multiple federations, and he seems to have a good go at it every year.
Yeah.
Lad's an absolute joke. Like, his posing's on point, his physique's on point, his insertions are brilliant, and you just think, I really hope I don't do the shows he does, because you don't want to be stood anywhere near that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where I think it does depend on what the final look looks like. My biggest weakness is being too heavy for too long, though. I think I'll get complacent, and I think it becomes counterproductive. Of you get to that point where you kind of reverse out, you cruise, you have a bit of an off season, and then you're thinking, right, am I actually just adding unnecessary body fat here? I think it's really hard to keep that discipline when the look's not that good, and the temptation is to, I didn't progress on that exercise, so extra 200 grams of carbs going in, and it's so tempted to just, and then before you know it, you're way off where you really want to be. So I genuinely think for me, having deficit phase and then going 6 months of pushing up, maybe say an 8 to 12 week reverse and then a 3 month push up and then reevaluating, it is better for me. I just don't think I've got the capacity to go into an off season for too long.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, something I've thought about is, of course, with this, I'm prepping to win, want to do well, I want to get qualified for the Universe, which fortunately for me falls a week later. You don't know if you're going to get that. You could do pretty well, and they might say, oh, well, we don't want to put you in that, but you might get an invite to maybe the British at the end of the year. They'd be like, right, have another 5 months, come back to us. But I am sort of thinking day at a time and see what happens, because the thing is as well, something that, because of course we were chatting about this and I was like, so what are you taking? And you were like, oh, nothing, natural. I was like, fucking hell. Because as I say, it's like very, very good what you've achieved, and that's the thing as well, because I think the other end of things, when you're not going in natty like myself, it's the other thing of like, well, what else can I take? What else can I add? What can I do? And that probably kind of brings us on that murky world at the moment we're getting of all this with the peptides, and the people are taking this, trying that, and it is very hard to kind of probably not want to try stuff and take different things and stuff like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think being 100% natural, it stops me from thinking like that, because it's like, well, I can't. There's nothing there, I can't do it. 10 grams of creatine and some deep breaths, and you kind of crack on. And I think that the bit for me as well is I'm 24, I've had my blood work done a year or so ago, everything was spot on. I'm going to keep it like that as long as I can. My physio background shows me that if I can keep everything in as under control as best as I can, then brilliant. And then if there comes a time where we need to start looking down things, then we certainly will. But I think at this point, I would want to make sure this is for me first before I made that commitment. I think while everything is in play, and if I can give the naturals a good go, and I think about stepping up to the next level, and this is something I want to dedicate my life to a bit more, then we reevaluate that situation. But what I can also do is do this year and think, I ain't doing that again, and it's not had any impact on the long term. There is always that bit of, if I did, you get a message every other week about going back to football. If I did want to downsize a little bit and go back, that's all I ever knew prior to this. So it's that bit of like, I still could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It gives you options. I think it helps me to keep focus in the fact of I know I'm not allowed anything. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Kind of
suck it up.
draws the line under it. I think that's the other great thing as well. Like with PCA, they are strict on that kind of stuff, especially the first timers rule. It's like not the first time with us, not the first time in this category. It's your first time, like stage, everything. I think that's something that's important as well. It gives people a level playing field, doesn't it? I think that's important. I think that's why I chose them personally.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I agree with that. I think you look at some of the other federations, not to name names, but you'll see like first timer slash novice, and basically novice means you haven't won something, and it's
No.
like right. So some of these lads in here have maybe done 5 or 6 shows. That's not really a first
Yeah.
timer. Albeit the naturals for me is the next day, so I've all of a sudden got to gain the stage experience in 24 hours and turn it around. But I do think if it is the first time on stage ever, it should be everybody's first time stepping on stage, no matter what, because it could really do some people's confidence in that. If you stepped on stage against, maybe say there was 4 in your class, the other 3 lads are all novices with a little bit of experience. You stood out on the end thinking, I don't belong next to these 3. It could put you off for life, that. So I do think that first timers thing should be well done. You've got there, you've done the hard work. Either this is something that you've either got the genetics for, or this is for you, or I've done it once and I ain't doing that again. And then everybody kind of moves on to their own paths from first timers.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well it's just that transparency and honesty with it all as well, which I think is very good. So what is your show date as well, just for us? When is that?
27th of June is the first timers, and then
27th
on
of
the
June.
28th on the Sunday for the naturals. Yeah,
So where is it? Is it Derby? Is that right?
Derby. Yeah,
Oh, I'm in quiet places. I'm in bloody Birmingham. It's not a
yeah.
natural stopping off point for me, that, but it's a day out, isn't it? Have you
It's a
so
day
you
out.
got the hotel booked and everything?
Haven't, no, no. It's something. It's on the to do list, on the ever growing to do list. Um, yeah, I mean, it's one of those where I wasn't 100% sure whether I was going to do the Sunday or not. So I haven't booked anything yet. But then, with where I am right now at this spot, I'm certain on doing it. So it's you just need to book
Yeah,
in.
man. Certainly, 100%. So I know we're both still kind of early days in the prep timeline, if you like. But what have you found particularly difficult so far, if anything? Is anything you're struggling with, or
To be honest, I mean, touch wood, pretty plain sailing so far. I think because it's not, I've gone through certain phases of first starting with my first coach sort of 4 years ago. You do a bit of a diet and it's horrible because it's like, oof. I've gone from playing football where you can eat what you want because your expenditure's so high to
yeah,
now I have to weigh my food. And then
mm,
the second time round was a little bit better, but you don't really have great results. The third time round, last year, I was like, oh, this is good, but this is hard because I was doing a house renovation at the same time and I was getting
yeah,
used to living with the missus and not having mum there to do things. And it's like, oh, okay, this is
right, right,
different dynamics, different things to think about, different gyms.
yeah,
And this year, I feel like now everything else like that is settled. Coaching going well, physio's going well, relationships are in good places. So
yeah,
like everything else is in a good spot that it just gives me that bit more brain power to focus on it. So to be honest, I feel really good. Um, Cardio's high, and it's just a little bit more of time management. But I do thrive in the discipline. To be honest, I quite like. I'm more productive. I know when I've got that schedule. Um, the only thing I would say is it is that impact that it can have on relationships and friendships due to
mm,
the restrictions because everybody seems to want to go out for food. When I first started prep, 2 back-to-back Saturdays was 2 family members' birthdays, of which there was more than 10 people out at both occasions, and I'm set out for a family meal with a tub. And it's like, I don't mind, but you do know that you're not quite as present with
yeah,
your family members, so there's a little bit of guilt that's set in there. Um, but yeah, I think obviously I've got a long way to go, so it's going to get tougher. Um, but I just think it's one of those where you just have to really be selfish, but then also selfless in the same sense of it's nobody else's fault that I've chose to do this.
yeah,
So I can't sit and complain. If I'm going to go to a family event and they're going to eat burgers in front of me, I'm not going to sit and complain. I'm just going to eat my tub and crack on. And I
yeah,
think that bit there is why it's actually worked quite well for me, because people are like, respect how you
Yeah.
can sit and eat that and I'm eating that. And I'm like, yeah, like I've chosen
Um,
to do this. It's on me. And it as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. And that's one thing Sophie always said was like, if you are going to make this something you want to do long term, don't expect, everybody around you to change what they do for you, or
yeah,
feel sorry
no,
for you
yeah.
if you're tired. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like, and I think that bit of advice was like, no, actually, she's spot on. Like,
Hmm.
it's not her fault I've got loads of cardio to do if I've left clothes all over the place and pots to be washed. It needs doing.
Yeah, no.
Irrespective, and I think because we have that bit of holding each other accountable, like she helps so much, because she's not on my case about stuff. She's understanding, but also will tell me if she thinks I'm taking my foot off the gas. I think it's
Yeah,
that perfect balance of, yeah. Hopefully no more
absolutely.
difficulties, but no digestion issues. Food's
Good.
going down well. Appetite is under control. It spikes, but it's only spiking when I'm getting close to the next meal time. So um, otherwise, it's been all right.
Place. Long may it continue. I think I'm still pretty much like that at the minute, but I think I was saying this the other day on it. I think it was the video I did on. It was yesterday. I was just saying you kind of want to feel a little bit hungry as well. Like you don't want to be starving and getting like hungry, but you want to feel like I've always kind of thought of, well, if I'm a little bit hungry, I'm burning fat in a way. I just kind of
Yeah, yeah,
try and take a positive and going back to your point, Adam, on you know, the discipline side of things and the meals, again, you were rightly saying we've chose to do this, but also the word sacrifice gets thrown about a lot. And I kind of promised myself early on I was never going to call things that. Because again, like you say, it's up to us if we on plan and weighing food and, as you say, sat with your Tupperware at the Sunday dinner, whatever it is,
yeah.
I think prep and any pressure that comes with it is a privilege. Don't you agree?
No, totally agree. Totally agree. I think how fortunate and particularly as it like says a physio, I see a lot of people coming through 18 to 25 who aren't in the position to do something like this. Might have something and a condition that they've developed when they were younger, or an injury that means they can't train the way that they want to train,
Yeah.
or there's something going on in their life where maybe they don't have the finances to do it because it ain't cheap trying to set things
Oh,
up.
1,000,000%.
So I just think how fortunate is it to be able to have a fantastic relationship, fantastic support from friends, family, colleagues,
Yeah.
and people being understanding, and being able to be in a nice home and not have to think about every single thing that I buy. That I'm in a position where I'm really really fortunate things go well, and I can do what I want to do and I can follow my goals. I'm not limited by something else.
Yeah.
So I just think for me it's that whole bit of the pressure is a privilege, but the opportunity is as well. The opportunity to have the genetics to allow you to actually look okay with your top off. Like you see some people train for 4 or 5 years, maybe similar time frames to myself, and I think I just think they might never look that aesthetic. They might have
Yeah.
some sort
That's
of
right.
balance issue where you just think, yeah, maybe it just isn't for you. You just don't naturally. Naturally got the wider shoulders. I think it helps for the class that I'm doing,
Yeah.
um, and the class
100%.
that I want to do. And I just think, yeah, it's like the whole opportunity is a privilege, really.
100%. Yeah, and that's. I think as well, it is the time commitment. I know one of my clients had sort of said to me when I announced it, it was in good shape anyway. He was like, "Well, what do you think about me doing?" Then we kind of went through everything in terms of like family, work, traveling for work, and house to run, the bills, the general thing. As I say, obviously having kids, married, everything like that. And it was just kind of wouldn't have worked. I mean, I know myself, if I get UltraFlex for 5:30, I've probably been up doing steps at 5, and then it's meal one, train, and then cardio, more steps, meal two, a couple more steps after like digestion, and it's 10 o'clock, and that's like 5 hours I've been up in 5 hours, and all I've done is ate, trained, walked, and done my cardio, and it's like you can't dedicate 5 hours a day to exercise. Well, most people anyway.
Most people
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, like for me, I'm fortunate that where I work and being self-employed to some degree is that I can work long and short days. I've had that structure for a while. I've got days where I do a little bit more kind of admin and check-ins into like a
Yeah.
shorter session. I've got Mondays, which are lighter work days, but they use them for content and back and legs, which
Yeah.
is
Big day.
takes me a longer session. And then I've got days where I'm rest days where I'll work longer hours in clinic. I can chop and change that round as and when I need to. Like, I appreciate if you, and being physio, I'm on my feet, so I'm naturally going to rack up maybe three, four, five, up to 10, sometimes more, thousand more steps than others. I couldn't imagine being sat at a desk, not being able to move, not being able to get the meals in. It comes out at 5 o'clock. You've got to train, do 15,000 steps, an hour on the stairmaster, go and do a pausing session, and somehow stop your wife from leaving you and spend some time with your kids. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
it ain't for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. So what is, so of course it'll change as you move along, but what is your current routine, sort of steps, cardio, rough sort of calories, protein, what's the breakdown?
Yeah, so at the minute, 45 minutes cardio daily, 25 fasted, and then 20 post workout. Food is low days is 2,200 with a high day on my first training day out of the three. So I do that on a Saturday before I train Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and that's like 2,800.
Okay.
Um, Protein's sitting around about 250, give or take. And then I split that over 4 meals. So start with morning oats, two chicken based meals, one with rice, one with red potato, and then a like skier bowl style to finish. Um, so not too bad. I still got plenty of food. It's a lot lower than what it was, um, and I generally prefer four because it looks like it's something to eat. To be fair,
Yeah,
if you
that's
split
right.
that amount of calories over five, I just sometimes think that's not a meal. That's just a few ingredients put
A bit
together in
of
a
a snack.
bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so it's relatively all right. Steps 14,000. Um,
14,000.
yeah, um, and which to be fair, like my general day to day activities, I'm anywhere between 8 to 10.
Yeah.
So it's usually what I try and do is get up to about 12,000 by going out for a walk, walking pad in front of the TV, and I'll just finish them off before I go to bed. Put FIFA on, walking pad, FIFA, walk and play, and it's just that bit to like I put my phone away on charge.
Yeah.
That's my wind down time, and I'll just play on that, and my watch will buzz when I've hit my step count, and then I'll turn the game off and go to bed, and that seems to work quite well for me. Sort of hates the walking pad in front of the TV, but is what it is.
Yeah.
She can move it in July.
Yeah.
It can
Bit
go then,
prep.
but
Needs must. So is there
needs
any,
must.
as I say, you obviously mentioned Soph's been very supportive, and I think for me as well, it is having that proper support in place that helps. You can't have negative energy around you because your energy's getting like zapped a little bit anyway. And what I call it's like bandwidth, and if you've a lot of, like if that's your bandwidth, that sort of prep, and then you've only got a bit left. So have you
Uh-huh.
found you've had to kind of trim your circle down a little bit or try and consciously spend less energy with people or anything like that?
Not too much. I think it's more about being tactical, of how I do things. And I've kind of gone down the route of sort of must, should, and could. And there are lots of things that you could do, you know, in terms of like little work based things or extra little bits of content that you can put out. You know, you're trying to be this super online coach, and actually, it's for me, it's I've limited how many calls I'm having with new potential clients, cut that back a little bit. And I've got 3 slots a week, and they are them slots. And if they can't be made, then that's unfortunate because I need to
That's good.
prioritise myself, my relationships, and my current clients to make sure that the quality of coaching doesn't drop off for those.
That's important. I like that.
Which is huge because for me, I would be 100% guilty in the fact of last year doing the house renovation, getting used to the new environment, being lean myself. I
Yeah,
probably did take on a bit too much,
yeah,
and those responses that I would usually be really really thorough would become that little bit more of a. I'm a very open coach in how I do things. I like to ask questions off questions, give them answers, but ask questions to kind of see why people are thinking what I'm thinking. And I very much started to slip into that habit of do that, do that, do that. And I'm exaggerating, but that's what I felt like looking back a couple of months later of, oh, I wasn't the coach who I would have been. I didn't, if someone was struggling and they didn't say, I might not pick up as quick as I might have done before. You know, you're just kind of not quite as sharp. And I just think it's because I was trying to do too many things. Whereas the plan this year was, if I'm doing this prep,
Yeah.
I need to make sure that the things I'm already doing are fine and that I can still do all of those things and the prep. And if I can't, then the prep will be pulled because those other things are more important. But because I've laid it out well and I knew what I was getting myself in for, it's just about being ahead of the curve, really. But I know what you're saying. I think it's that bit of, you could do this, you could do that, you could do the other. And me and Soph have slightly changed the types of activities that we would go ahead and do.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, we just went bowling the other day instead of slightly, doing things that we might have done that are a bit more strenuous.
It's fair.
And I just think a big one for me is getting out of the house. You leave your phone in your pocket, you get out of the house, you go and do something, and you're away from that environment of you end up deep in the laptop again, and you're thinking, no, I'm meant to be trying to let myself kind of
Yeah.
chill out a bit. So we find that kind of going out and getting away from the prep and doing some kind of normal coupley things
Yeah. Yeah.
keeps that sort of mental bit. When you wake up the next day, you're like, yeah, ready to go again.
Certainly. Yeah, I think something I always try and stress for clients, I'm sure you're the same, and it's the thing I'm giving myself a good bollocking for at the minute. It's fun, family and fitness, and to get them right first and then put the other things in around that. Make sure that there's downtime that's actually scheduled. So, as I say, walks, trips out, whatever, getting that nailed first and then starting to have a think about, what else needs to come in. Get them, we know when are you training, when's cardio happening, when's your first block of steps happening, putting them in, and then you let the other things fall in. And if there's not the time left, or someone wants to say you at 10 o'clock at night, this moment in time, it cannot happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I think it's that bit of I can't remember who posted. I see someone posted it this morning about it was just more or less a quote on the people who end up doing the best at whatever they set their goal on.
Yeah,
Don't bend over backwards for bad people or for people
brilliant.
that don't necessarily have their goals aligned with you. Um, my circle is very different to what it would have been 5 years ago, and that's no disrespect to other people. But if the goal is based around nights out and alcohol, and I'm not
Yeah, you've had that.
currently drinking really ever, apart from probably special occasions at this point.
Yeah,
Obviously, not when I'm on prep, but even outside of prep, it just doesn't align with my goals. That for me just isn't what I want to do. Like previously, you go down the arm Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not a problem. But now and over the last few years, I've transitioned away from that. And that's nothing against the other lads, but it's just that thing of like
different.
we want different things. It'd be the same if it was with a lass. If you want different things, you don't end up staying together, and it's
Right, right.
not always an issue. It's just sometimes one of those where the circle of if I probably had to list the people whose opinion I would ask on something important to me, and my top 10 would be very different to what it was 24 months ago. And
Yeah,
a lot of this is based on people that have very, very similar goals and want to better themselves. And you find the opinions are great. I would say a lot of the UltraFlex lads, I think, have been brilliant across the board.
yeah,
It's not that you would think a gym like that, everyone always says, oh, it's intimidating. You know what it is? You couldn't get any more lads who actually, across the board, the vast, vast majority want to better each other.
yeah,
And if I'm in the posing room and I'm going in, someone sees you, they'll come in and say, right, let's have a look. Oh, that's good, that's good, that's good. Right, change that. And and it's just literally from people just giving you some outside feedback, and it's in a non-judgy way, and everyone's just kind of pushing each other on. So I think that's
yeah,
one big thing here is that I didn't expect people to rally round me as much as they have, and I think everyone's been brilliant with us so far. So
yeah,
that's one big win. Massively appreciate that.
yeah. I must add to that point as well. Like, I think when I kind of properly announced it, it was over the next sort of couple of weeks, as because of course Ultra's good at sharing your posts and things like that. I think more people even sort of start to acknowledge us a bit, and I was like, oh, it's nice. People kind of almost get that respect for you that you've committed and you're doing, especially when you announce it on Instagram. We sort of have to business wise, don't we? But because it all adds to the business. Are you kind of doing this as well a little bit for a business standpoint, just as like proving what you can do in a way, or?
Yeah, yeah. I think the big thing for me was I try and lead by example with coaching.
You've got it.
I'll always stand on that hill of I don't want to ever ask a client to do something that I'm not willing to do myself.
Yeah,
And
literally.
I've certainly got some serious grafters on the team at the minute who not quite ready for stage, but not far away if that's a goal for next year. I had a couple of conversations over the last few weeks with people, and I think, well, if we're going to do that, I need to have at least done 3, 4 shows myself to have the confidence to put a natural through.
Yeah,
I had a couple of inquiries off some recent posts from assisted guys, and I wouldn't feel comfortable prepping those. And I think it's in that position of I do always feel like you need to have done a little bit yourself,
yeah,
have that little bit of skin in the game really, and go, well, I'm asking you to do 3 workouts a week and stop binging every weekend,
yeah,
and look at what I'm doing.
yeah,
Meet me in the middle.
yeah,
And if most clients met me in the middle, the vast majority of them, would get to their goal and exceed and beyond. And I just think it's good for for clients to. I want my clients to be proud of what I'm doing.
yeah,
I can be proud of their goals and what they achieve, but I want them to be able to go. When I started coaching with him, he was in his off season. He was a bit fat. I
yeah, yeah.
trusted what he said and all that, but now look at him. Like,
I've had a
and
bit
I
of
want
that.
them to be able to to tag me on a social and be proud that they're tagging me. Um, I think that's huge. I think that's something that a lot of people don't look at is that they see people as a direct debit and that sort of thing. And I just
It's
genuinely
all of
think,
it
no, for
about.
me, I care what my clients think about me. And if I whipped up a camera out of nowhere and said, "Tell me something about Adam," if they had to think to say something positive, then I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Adam, I think that's a very nice way to wrap things up. Wishing you every success with your prep, if I can make it 100%. So 27th of June, Derby.
27th of June, mate. Yeah.
Fabulous. It's written down. So, Adam, if anyone wants to reach out, work with you, get some physio, where's best to reach you? Remind us.
Yes, just drop me a DM on Instagram. So it's Adam Peacock with 3Ks. If that's anything physio wise or coaching wise, just let us know via Instagram DMs because I use that as just a single point of access really and then go from there. But
Don't we
yeah,
all?
Adam Peacock 3Ks. Yeah.
Fabulous. Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure. I think we'll definitely have a part 3, probably just before your show day or something, or
Let's
just
do
after
it.
when you show off your gold medal. That would be, that's what I want to say.
Why not?
Absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. Take care,
No,
mate.
you too, buddy.
Bye, man.